I pushed open the door to the steakhouse's private dining room and froze. The whole family sat around the long oak table, my table, the one I bought with my first bonus 10 years ago. A projector buzzed in the corner, throwing up a slide I hadn't seen before. Riverside Ember Growth Strategy, CEO Caleb Morgan. I blinked. Thought maybe I walked into the wrong meeting. Then Dad cleared his throat like I was the problem. "You're late, son." Meeting already started. No welcome, no heads up. Just that flat tone of his, like I'd missed roll call. Before I could even sit down, Mom smiled, calm and smug, like she'd been practicing it in the mirror. "We transferred operations to Caleb this morning," she said. "He's the CEO now." I looked at my brother, baby-faced, MBA holding Caleb, who still needed me to order wine for him at family dinners. He stood at the head of the table like he belonged there. My voice cracked. "Are you serious?" Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I ran this place while they were off in Scottsdale playing tennis and pretending to consult. I handled the staffing, the suppliers, the new locations, all of it. Caleb sat in on 3 meetings and suddenly he's the savior. He didn't even look at me. Just clicked to the next slide like it was nothing. I stepped forward, feeling the heat crawl up my neck. "You made this decision without me?" "We made the best decision for the future," Mom said, smoothing her silk blouse like that settled it. "Caleb brings new energy." New energy, right. I kept this place alive. I skipped birthdays, pulled doubles, slept in my office some nights just to keep us running during the lockdowns. And now I was supposed to just sit down and clap? I didn't say another word. Then I turned and walked out. Behind me, I heard Caleb mutter under his breath, "Told you he'd be emotional." I didn't even flinch. I pushed through the hallway, past the framed photos of opening night, past the plaque with my name etched under founder and executive chef, and out the front door into the evening air. The sky was burning orange. My stomach burned worse. They didn't just take the business, they erased me from it, and I wasn't going to let that stand. I drove back after midnight to grab my chef's knives. Should have taken them earlier, but I wasn't thinking straight. Those blades were mine. Custom handles, Japanese steel, edges so sharp they'd whisper through fish skin. I wasn't leaving them behind for Caleb to wave around like he earned them. The building was dark, parking lot empty. I still had my code. He hadn't changed that yet. The front door clicked open, and the silence inside felt colder than usual. I passed the dining room, avoided the kitchen, just wanted to get in and out. But when I reached the office, the door was cracked and a soft glow lit up the hallway. I pushed it open. Caleb's laptop sat open on the desk. Unlocked. Idiot, I should have walked away. Instead, my eyes locked onto the email open on the screen. Subject line, RE:"Menu Strategy, West Shore Grand." The sender, Jamie Ellison, their events director. Date, that morning. My throat tightened. I leaned closer, reading every line like it was written in fire. The $850,000 deal. The one I'd chased for 6 months. Flights to Tampa, tastings in our test kitchen, late-night calls to redesign the menu for their winter retreats. All of it gone. Jamie's message was polite, almost apologetic. Caleb mentioned a cost-saving alternative. "We'll pause the partnership until revised concepts are presented." Cost-saving alternative? He pitched them a cheaper menu. Behind my back, without telling me, without telling anyone. I scrolled down to the earlier replies. Jamie had asked, "We're especially curious about the citrus dill crab. The flavor layering was unlike anything we've tasted. Can you explain the inspiration behind it?" And Caleb wrote back, "That's one of my original dishes. I was exploring coastal nostalgia with modern plating." I stood there, staring at the screen, my pulse pounding in my ears. He claimed my dish, my crab, the one I perfected over years, testing the balance between sweet and briny, building it off the memory of summers in Bar Harbor when food still felt like magic. All those times Caleb asked about flavor notes, oil emulsions, acidity curves. I thought he was trying to learn. I actually felt proud, like maybe he cared about the food. I shared my process, let him shadow me. He wasn't admiring me, he was copying me. He took my work, took my client, and tanked the deal trying to sell a watered-down version of something he didn't even understand. I grabbed the edge of the desk, hard. My knuckles went white. The screen kept glowing like it was mocking me. I looked over at the shelf where our awards used to sit, now cleared out. His leather briefcase sat on the floor, perfectly placed, smug-looking even in the dark. My hands curled into fists. One punch and I'd crack that stupid screen in half. Maybe the desk, too. But I didn't hit anything. I just stood there, frozen, jaw locked, trying not to break something I'd regret. He was always the smooth talker, the pitch man. I was the guy in the back, sweating over the grill, bleeding for the details. And now he thought he could steal my work and sell it better than I could. I shut the laptop without a sound, slid my knife roll from the corner, slung it over my shoulder, and I walked out. Didn't slam the door, didn't make a sound. I hit the parking lot and kept walking, past my truck, out to the sidewalk, all the way down to the edge of the strip mall, where the glow from the steakhouse finally faded. I stopped there, one hand on the strap of my knives, the other digging into my pocket like it might find answers. Next morning, I didn't clock in. I barged into the upstairs conference room like I still owned the damn place. Because I did. Marcus and Eleanor sat across the table, folders in hand. I caught the tail end of Caleb's voice as he gestured to a pie chart like he'd just discovered fire. And with national distributors, we reduce variance and save 18% across seafood and produce lines. 18%. He said it like that meant something to the people in front of him. Marcus, gray-stubbled, arms crossed, eyes squinting like he was trying not to blow up. Eleanor, posture straight, lipstick sharp, but her jaw had that tight set she only got when she was pissed. I leaned against the doorframe. "Did you mention that variance is what made our food matter?" Caleb turned, blinking. "This is a closed meeting." "Not anymore," I said, walking in. "You're about to make the worst mistake since frozen calamari." Eleanor didn't even look surprised to see me. "You're late," she said. "We were wondering when you'd show." Marcus gave me a chin nod. I sat down next to him, grabbed one of the folders Caleb had passed out, full of spreadsheets, national vendor logos, color-coded cost breakdowns. "You're replacing Eleanor with Delridge Farms?" I asked, flipping through it. "They ship hydroponic greens in clamshells." "They're consistent," Caleb said. "Standardization is the only way to scale." I slapped the folder shut. "You want consistency? Go to Applebee's," Marcus chuckled. I pointed at him. "You replace this man, you kill 3 fishing boats out of Astoria. His boats go under." Caleb rolled his eyes. "It's not personal. It's business. We've outgrown boutique suppliers." I turned to Eleanor. "How many heirloom tomato growers do you know that sell to Cisco?" "None," she said. "They wouldn't survive the paperwork." "Exactly." I looked back at Caleb. "She doesn't grow commodities. She grows flavor. That's why we used her." Caleb leaned on the table, smirking. "Look, I get it. You're emotional. But this is bigger than your ego." "Say that again," I said. Low and slow. He didn't. Instead, he shifted gears. "Your new kitchen-only role comes with a compensation restructure, by the way. Focused duties, focused pay." I stared at him. "You're cutting my salary." "It's aligned with your new responsibilities," he said, smooth as a damn corporate memo. I looked at Marcus. "You okay selling your catch to someone who doesn't know the difference between coho and sockeye?" "Hell no," he said. "I fish for chefs, not accountants." I turned to Eleanor. "You good watching your harvest rot while he waits for supply chain approval?" She shook her head. "I sell to kitchens that respect the dirt." I stood up, slow and steady, hands on the back of my chair. Caleb stepped back like he expected me to throw something. "Don't worry," I told him. "If I leave, I'm taking my food, and my people, with me." Eleanor stood up too. "You know how to reach us." Marcus grabbed his coat. "Say the word, I'm hauling for you." Caleb sputtered. "This is sabotage." "No," I said, heading for the door. "This is clarity." I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I'd drawn the line. He knew it, and I wasn't moving. The next morning, the specials board was wiped clean. No crab, no slow-roasted brisket, no smoked eggplant. Just laminated menus with QR codes and descriptions that sounded like they were written by a software intern. Garlic butter shrimp bowl, classic cheeseburger, family-style Caesar. My dishes were gone. The walk-in looked like a factory fridge. pre-cut produce in vacuum-sealed bags, frozen halibut in boxes labeled bulk, the citrus I used to handpick from Eleanor's crates, replaced with concentrate in plastic tubs. The kitchen didn't smell like food anymore. It smelled like oil, that nasty processed kind that coats your lungs. I used to light cherry wood logs at 6 a.m. to prep for dinner. Now, the only thing burning was the fryer timer. Caleb stood in the center of it all, like he was Moses parting the grease trap. Quicker turns, cleaner margins. Guests won't notice he was wrong. They noticed. That first Friday night, I watched 3 tables of regulars walk out after they tasted the new menu. One guy asked where I was, said his wife only booked their anniversary dinner here because of the crab. The server stammered something about culinary transitions. The guy left a 20 on the table and didn't touch his drink. The next week, the Millers, who'd been coming every Thursday for 8 years, sat down, looked at the menu, and asked for me directly. I came out from the kitchen. Mr. Miller looked confused. "This isn't your food." "It's not," I said. "I'm just the cook now." They got up and left without ordering. Caleb called a staff meeting the next day. Said we were struggling with execution and menu consistency. "You can't blame the food if the team isn't aligned," he told the room, looking straight at me. Then he pulled me aside and said, "The Millers are too high maintenance anyway." I didn't answer, just walked back to the prep table. The next morning, I came in to find my grill station gutted. The cast iron I'd seasoned for years was boxed up. My smoker rig, custom welded with temp control valves, was gone. In its place, 2 new deep fryers humming like a gas station kitchen. The woodpile out back was hauled off. They didn't even leave the damn applewood logs I split myself. That night, I went home and pulled out a leather-bound book I hadn't touched in years. My dad gave it to me when I started the restaurant. I used to jot down ideas, flavors, tricks I learned from old-timers and farmers. I started filling it again. Every recipe I still remembered, every supplier, every technique. Eleanor, Marcus, the heirloom peach puree for the summer tart. All of it. I wasn't going to let it die in that kitchen. A couple nights later, after a brutal shift where we overcooked 20 frozen steaks, I came back to my station to clean up. Sitting right there, in the middle of my cutting board, was a tangerine. Attached to it was a sticky note. Just 4 words, written in Daniel's neat, all-caps handwriting. "Your food is unforgettable." I stared at it for a long time. Didn't move, didn't speak. Just let it hit. He could have said that out loud, could have handed it to me. But he didn't. He left it like a lifeline, quiet, solid, and perfectly timed. I put the tangerine in my bag, took the note too. Next morning, I started showing up earlier. Not for them, not for Caleb. For the book. I was in the prep kitchen early, ladling sauce into tasting cups for the West Shore Grand Dinner. Citrus dill base for the crab, smoked tomato reduction for the lamb, the only thing left that felt like my food. The ticket printer clattered in the background, spitting out orders for reheated entrees I never signed off on. The door swung open. Heavy footsteps. Dad walked in first, dressed like he was heading to a golf course. Caleb followed, tablet under his arm, a fake smile plastered on his face. I didn't stop stirring. Dad cleared his throat. "We need to talk about tonight's dinner." I set the ladle down. "What about it?" Caleb leaned against the prep table like he owned it. "The execs don't want complicated flavors. They're looking for scalable concepts, not fancy one-offs." "Scalable concepts," I repeated, tasting the words. They tasted like ash. Dad held up his hands. "We're just asking for something simpler, safer. The deal depends on it." I wiped my hands on a towel, staring at the sauce. "The deal already depends on a lie. He sold them my dish." Caleb straightened. "This isn't about you. This is about business. They want something they can roll out across multiple venues." I laughed once, sharp and short. "You want a franchise?" Caleb's face stayed blank. "We want consistency." I untied my apron, pulled it over my head. "I cook food people remember." He sighed like I was a child. "You're being dramatic." "No," I said, folding the apron neatly. "I'm being done." Dad stepped closer. "Don't walk out on this, son." I placed the apron on the counter. "Watch me." Then I set the spoon down next to it, wiped my hands one last time, and walked toward the door. Daniel, my sous chef, froze mid-chop at his station. "You serious?" I nodded once. He untied his own apron, slapping it on the counter. Then I'm out too. 3 more cooks stopped what they were doing: Tyler, Maria, and Jen. One by one, they followed, aprons off, knives down. Caleb's voice rose behind me. "You're making a mistake." I didn't turn around. "No, you did." We walked out together, 4 chefs and me, past the swinging kitchen doors into the hallway lined with family photos and awards. The place smelled like fryer oil and lost time. It wasn't a restaurant anymore. It was a spreadsheet factory. Out back, the cool air hit my face like a slap. Daniel lit a cigarette, exhaled hard. "What now?" he asked. I looked at my hands stained with citrus and smoke. "Now I stop cooking for them." He nodded. "Good." We split up quietly, each heading to our cars. No dramatic speeches, no plan yet. Just the kind of silence you only get after a long shift, when you know you're not coming back. That night, sitting at my kitchen table with my leather-bound book open, my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. "Eleanor and Marcus are with you. Wherever you go, we go." I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the reply. For the first time in months, the smell of hardwood smoke came back to me. Not from the restaurant, from memory. I closed the book, slid my phone into my pocket, and started thinking about what came next. 2 days later, I walked into the conference room at West Shore Grand. No Caleb, no pitch deck. Just me, a portfolio, and the truth. I laid out photos of my original dishes, handwritten menus, a printed list of suppliers and seasonal cycles. I didn't sell flash, I sold memory. High-end, I said, seasonal, chef-driven, sourced from real people, nothing frozen, nothing franchised. Jamie Ellison nodded slowly. The woman I thought we'd lost? She leaned in closer. "Who owns the rights to the crab dish?" she asked. "I do," I said. "Always have." There was a long pause. Then the man next to her, salt and pepper beard, black button down, shoes that cost more than my smoker rig, extended a hand. "I'm Jason Mercer," he said. "Backed 3 of Portland's best spots. I've been waiting to see someone pitch this kind of heart again." I shook his hand without blinking. He smiled. "I'm in," he said. 3 weeks later, the lease was signed. Corner unit in the Pearl District. Smaller space, open kitchen, reclaimed wood, exposed beams. Nothing fancy, just honest. My name wasn't on the sign yet, but it would be. Daniel helped design the line. No deep fryers, no shortcuts, just fire, steel, and sweat. Eleanor brought me samples from 5 new heirloom farms. Purple carrots with spice, sweet turnips the size of golf balls, rainbow chard so fresh it snapped. Marcus called to say the boats were back out, and my preferred catch would hit the dock every Thursday. He even threw in spot prawns for the soft opening, on the house. I had my crew, I had my concept, and for the first time in months, I had that feeling again. The one you get when your knife slides through perfect tuna belly. Control, direction, purpose. Caleb, he was sinking. Daniel started sending screenshots. "Where's the crab? Used to love this place, not anymore. Menu feels corporate. Where's the chef?" He forwarded one that made me laugh out loud. "This used to be a restaurant. Now it's a drive-through without the window." Then came the text from Mom. "Call us. Please, the family needs you." Followed by a voicemail from Dad. Voice tight, less bark, more desperation. "Your mother's upset. Caleb's overwhelmed. We rushed some decisions and, well, we could use your help. Call me back." I didn't call. I didn't answer. Not out of spite, out of focus. This wasn't revenge. This was rebuilding. Every night after construction wrapped, I'd stay late, tuning burners, writing out menu drafts, testing sauces with Daniel till midnight. The smell of hardwood smoke filled the space before the walls were even painted. It smelled like home. The front counter was made from old barn wood, sanded down, and sealed with beeswax. The shelves held jars of pickled ramps, dried herbs, smoked salt in mason jars. We didn't have a sign yet, but we didn't need one. The energy said it all. I pulled the leather-bound book from my bag one night and flipped to the page where I'd written the crab recipe. Still there, still perfect. I looked around at the empty dining room. No music, no customers yet, just clean walls and possibility. Daniel leaned on the prep table, watching me scribble notes. You ready? Not even close, I said. But I smiled. The front door rattled against the frame just after noon. I looked up from plating test dishes. Daniel was at the sink. He glanced toward the glass, then shot me a look. I wiped my hands on a towel and walked to the front. There they were. Dad in a collared golf shirt, smiling like we were doing a photo shoot. Mom right behind him, holding her purse like a shield. And Caleb, shoulders tight, jaw clenched, looking like he hadn't slept. I opened the door without saying a word. They stepped inside. My space, my air. Caleb looked around like he couldn't process what he was seeing. You remodeled this fast, Dad said, voice too cheerful. Looks modern. Mom forced a smile. Very clean, not as big, though. Nope, I said. Not as big, just better. They exchanged a quick look. Then Dad cleared his throat. We'd like to make you an offer. I crossed my arms. This should be good. We go back to how it was. Equal partners, he said. Caleb runs business. You handle food. You both do what you're good at. But final say stays with us, Mom added quickly, like she was reading it off a script. To keep structure. I didn't blink. I walked over to the counter, pulled out a manila folder, and laid it flat. Inside, a printed letter from West Shore Grand, signed by their executive team. Jamie's name at the top. I slid it across the wood. They signed with me. Mom leaned in. Wait, with you? I nodded once. They signed with the real chef. Silence. Caleb looked down at the floor like it might open up and swallow him. I reached under the folder and pulled out a second sheet, printouts of their last 2 months' online reviews. I read one out loud. Used to be 5 stars, now it's a joke. Flipped the page. Canceled our anniversary dinner. Food was unrecognizable. Another. We miss the heart. We miss the chef. I handed the pages to Dad. He didn't take them. Caleb finally spoke. We need you. I shrugged. I don't need you. Dad flinched like I'd slapped him. Mom looked like she might cry. Caleb tried again. You don't understand. We're hemorrhaging. I understand perfectly, I said, stepping closer. You had something good. You gutted it. You tried to sell it as your own. Now you want me to fix it under your thumb. Dad's voice turned stern. You're still part of this family. Families don't gut their own and call it business. I walked back to the counter and rested my hands on the reclaimed wood, letting the silence settle. Nobody moved. Daniel stepped out from the kitchen, arms crossed, just watching, back up without a word. Mom finally broke. We made a mistake. Yeah, I said. You did. They didn't argue, just turned and walked toward the door. Caleb paused before stepping out. You really think you'll win without us? I looked him dead in the eye. I already am. He opened the door and followed them out. I stayed where I was for a moment, breathing in the clean scent of sawdust and lemon oil. The place still smelled new, unfinished maybe, but full of promise. Like every inch had a purpose. I walked through the space slowly, touched the counter, ran a hand along the edge of the pass. The grill still had ash in the corners from last night's test run. Felt real, solid, not a spreadsheet, not a brand, just a place built to matter. And this time, it was mine. The night of the soft opening, the hearth by Morgan buzzed with heat and noise. Good noise. Forks clinked, glasses tapped. The smell of seared halibut and grilled peaches floated through the room. We weren't just full, we were alive. Critics sat near the kitchen pass, jotting notes between bites. At the window tables, loyal customers I hadn't seen in months raised glasses and waved like we never missed a beat. Marcus was posted by the raw bar, grinning every time someone asked where the oysters came from. Eleanor leaned in close to a couple, explaining what made her greens snap. Daniel worked the line like a machine, clean, fast, focused. Our new team moved like they'd been doing this for years. They hadn't. But it didn't matter. This place brought out the best in them. In the corner, half tucked behind a potted fig tree, sat my mother. I didn't see her come in. She wasn't dressed like she wanted attention. No pearls, no camera-ready makeup. Just quiet, hands folded, eyes down. In front of her, the king crab, my dish, the one she once called too niche to scale. She took slow, careful bites. No smile, no apology, just silence. I let her eat. 6 months later, we had a 3-week wait list and a seasonal menu that got written up in Bon Appetit as the blueprint for modern Pacific Northwest cuisine. I never chased trends, but somehow we started one. When the letter came in from the American Culinary Federation, I didn't even know they were watching. Nominated for Restaurant of the Year. I stood on stage with Daniel at my side when we won. This time, I didn't drop the plaque. I looked out at the crowd, found Marcus in the front row, Eleanor beside him, Daniel with his arms crossed like always. I thanked them first. Back at the restaurant that night, Daniel popped champagne over the prep sink while the kitchen staff whooped and sprayed each other like we just won the Super Bowl. Eleanor brought in samples of fresh winter chard, already talking about the cold menu rotation. I stepped into the office to breathe for a second. That's when my phone buzzed. Subject, resume. Operations Director position from Caleb Morgan. He didn't add a message, just the file. I stared at it. No emotion, no anger, just quiet, steady thinking. Could I trust him? Should I even try? He knew spreadsheets, sure, but I built this place from splinters and smoke, from people, real ones. So maybe I'd bring him in, or maybe I wouldn't. Didn't matter, because this time I held the keys, my food, my team, my rules.